Simon just posted a 5:43.682 crossing start finish. Kevin Lekmanski has a best lap time of 2:28.364.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
With just 0 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Simon of the Desert has a best lap time of 2:37.083. Simon of the Desert posted 5:43.682 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time.
Simon is not giving up and will be looking for every 10th.
Simon just posted a 5:43.682 crossing start finish. With just 0 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Sketty has a best lap time of 2:26.784. Kevin Lekmanski has a best lap time of 2:24.578. Kevin Lekmanski posted 2:24.578 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time. Kevin just posted a 2:24.578 crossing start finish.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
Ryan Wilson has a best lap time of 2:24.812. Kevin Lekmanski has a best lap time of 2:24.578.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
With just 2 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations.
Lekmanski is not giving up and will be looking for every 10th.
Simon of the Desert posted 2:33.781 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time. Simon just posted a 2:27.340 crossing start finish.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
Asadic Streaming is on his practice out lap. The anticipation is high as the drivers line up for the qualifying session at Sebring International Raceway. The adrenaline is pumping. Kevin Lekmanski is on his out lap, warming up the tires and getting ready to put in a fast lap time. Kevin Lekmanski is looking relatively composed going through turn 2.
When I get some free time after the race, I'm going to park my pudding near turn 2 with a nice drink and some friends.
Kevin Lekmanski is working his way through hairpin turn. David Zahn is on his out lap. David Zahn is driving through Cunningham Corner.
Don't forget to check out the views near Cunningham Corner, they are fantastic.
David Zahn is expertly commanding that car through Flying Fortress Straight. You can feel the tension building. Steady is out on track and getting ready to push for his qualifying time.
It's a delicate balance between taking it easy and pushing hard. Let's see how Sketty handles it.
Sketty is keeping his head down through Gendebien Bend.
Spectators near here can smell the smoke wafting from nearby grills.
This is where the mental game comes into play. Simon of the Desert is taking his time to prepare for his qualifying run.
He'll want to get a good gap established for the flying lap.
Simon of the Desert crosses the start-finish line at the end of his out lap. Simon of the Desert is looking relatively composed going through turn 2. It looks like David Zahn is getting ready to make his move. He's taking his time to warm up those tires and get everything just right.
It's all about finding that balance between staying calm and focused, while also pushing the limits.
David Zahn appears focused and prepared driving through Fangio chicane.
The action and glory drivers have lived here at Fangio chicane is truly historic.
David Zahn is working his way through turn 12. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. That ASRL Shelby Mustang GT350R looks good driving through Bishop Bend. It's all about strategy in these early moments. Simon of the Desert is taking his time to prepare for his qualifying run and get everything just right. Simon of the Desert is keeping his head down through Sunset Bend.
There's a great spot near here to kick back with a cold drink and enjoy the beauty of it all.
This is what it's all about. Kevin Lekmansky is putting everything he's got into this qualifying session. Malero will be looking to use this first hot lap to set a solid time in the standings.
Malero certainly is nailing this one. This is shaping up to be a great performance.
It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and David Zahn is nailing both.
It's certainly exciting to watch. But let's not forget, the goal is to secure a good starting position for the race.
David Zahn is driving through Gurney Bend. David Zahn is looking relatively composed going through Cunningham Corner.
This is such a great track. I need to make it back here more often.
David Zahn is 1.03 up driving through Bishop Bend.
If David gets greedy, this delta could go from green to red in the blink of an eye.
David Zahn completes his lap in a time of 2:28.103, currently in P5. It's clear that Sketty is pushing his car to the very edge of traction on this qualifying lap.
Sketty is indeed a rare breed. It takes a special kind of driver to thrive under this kind of pressure.
Sketty just clocked a 2:24.179, 1.124 off of P1 and good enough for P2. Let's see if he can improve on that time further. Sketty is working his way through turn 2. Kevin Lekmansky is now up 0.32 in hairpin turn. Kevin Lekmansky has improved by 0.37 up through Cunningham Corner.
Lekmansky needs all the focus and resolve he can muster to maintain this pace.
Simon of the Desert has found an extra 0.5. Simon of the Desert is driving through turn 12 and is up 0.38.
All we can do now is wish Simon luck as the start-finish line approaches.
There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. Kevin Lekmansky is expertly commanding that car through Ullman Straight.
There's not much better than sitting near here and watching the cars speed by.
Kevin Lekmansky will be happy, with a time good enough for third in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for him to find that missing 1.382, but that won't stop him from trying.
Malero is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 2:22.937.
That's a great time, but it's always a good idea to keeping pushing for every last tenth and hundredth.
David Zahn is in the green by 1.33, making his way through Fangio chicane.
There's no guarantee that Zahn can maintain this delta through the rest of the lap.
David Zahn is keeping his head down through turn 12.
To see the best action, you can't go wrong here at turn 12.
That ASRL Shelby Mustang GT350R looks good driving through Gendebien Bend. David Zahn is currently up 2.31 going through Sunset Bend. David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for third in this qualifying session. Kevin Lekmansky has improved by 0.44. Kevin Lekmansky will be happy, with a time good enough for fifth in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 1.405 gap to pole.
Malero is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 2:22.184. The pressure is on in this qualifying session, but Stefano Amadei is rising to the occasion. Stefano Amadei is 0.59 up driving through Fangio chicane. Stefano Amadei appears focused and prepared driving through Tower Turn.
Fuel, fumes, fans, and fights, Tower Turn has it all.
Stefano Amadei is now up 1.79 in Le Mans curve. Stefano Amadei is driving through Sunset Bend.
Fans sitting near Sunset Bend get some of the best views of the action.
Stefano Amadei has completed that flying lap in 2:24.986, which is good enough for P6, down 2.802 to the leader. Stefano Amadei is working his way through turn 1.
I have always loved this section of the track.
A solid qualifying performance by Simon of the Desert, positioned in 7th. The question now is whether he can make further progress and challenge the frontrunners.
Great analysis, Marco. Simon has shown excellent pace to secure 7th.
Simon of the Desert has some work to do, as his best time of 2:25.114 is only good enough for 7th.
There's at least 2.93 seconds to be found, but Simon may be looking for it in the wrong places.
Stefano Amadei has secured a respectable 6th in the qualifying session. This is a great spot to use as a launchpad for a strong race performance.
I couldn't agree more, Marco. Stefano has done a fantastic job to claim 6th. The challenge now is to convert this opportunity into a strong race result.
Stefano Amadei is looking relatively composed going through Cunningham Corner. Impressive display by Kevin Lekmanski, currently sitting in P5. He's set a competitive time, but the question remains whether he can push even harder to secure a better starting position. Kevin Lekmanski will be happy with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session. There's a little bit of wind in the air today here at Sebring International Raceway, as we're getting ready to kick things off. Ryan Wilson will be looking to convert his pole position into a win.
He can't let his guard down. The other drivers will be gunning for him.
Malero has a great opportunity starting on the front row.
He can't count his chickens before they've hatched. There is a long way to go.
In the third position, it's none other than Sketty.
Big things expected for Sketty today.
David Zahn has qualified fourth.
He's going to have to be quick out of the blocks to keep up with the top performers.
The fifth place on the grid belongs to Stefano Amadei, a driver with plenty of experience.
Stefano will be ready to show what he's made of.
On the sixth grid slot, we have Kevin Lekmanski.
Another good start for the American driver.
Starting from seventh on the grid is a good position for Simon of the Desert to launch an attack. Green flag, green flag.
Staying out of trouble in these early moments is crucial. It's a fine line between pushing hard and staying safe.
I think passing is going to be difficult today here at Sebring International Raceway, so it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers get on.
The drivers are walking a fine line during the first lap melee as everyone tries to establish themselves. It's easy for inexperienced racers to blow it in T1.
Settling into a rhythm is going to be crucial here. The stewards will be hoping that there aren't too many incidents for them to pick over when the dust settles on this one. As we watch the drivers fight it out in the first lap, I can already feel that this is going to be an epic race.
Like gladiators, they enter Marco, but instead of lions and swords, our champions fight in an arena of tarmac, and with fire-breathing machines of cutting-edge materials, designed to explore the very limits of physics itself in what can sometimes be very much a fight to the death.
Adam will be studying the nearby drivers and looking for anything that could give them an advantage. The tensions are high, and no one will want to make a crucial mistake on the first lap. No room for error here. Adam is breathing down the neck of Kevin Lekmansky, waiting for the perfect chance to make his move. Oh, this is getting intense. Sketty is just a few car lengths behind Malero. The crowd is on its feet as Kevin Lekmansky chases down Adam through start-finish.
The chase between Kevin and Adam is like a high-speed game of tag only. The stakes are much higher.
Looks like Sketty is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. With just 0.5 seconds between them, Sketty will need to close the gap to have hopes of a pass.
The race is really heating up. Kevin Lekmansky is hunting down Adam with everything he's got.
I would not be surprised to see him get this pass completed soon.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Simon of the Desert is closing in on Stefano Amadei. This is a thrilling battle as Kevin Lekmansky edges closer to Adam in their fight for P4.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Lekmansky needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
Things are heating up as Simon of the Desert tries to close the gap to Stefano Amadei. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Sketty is chasing Malero in P1. Simon of the Desert is on a mission, chasing Stefano Amadei, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
The racing is getting tight between Simon and Stefano as they battle for P6. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Oops, Ryan is going to be wishing that hadn't happened.
The pursuit is on. Simon of the Desert is closing the gap on Stefano Amadei, determined to claim P6.
This is where every inch counts. Simon is pushing hard to close the gap on Stefano. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
The battle for P1 is heating up as Sketty tries to catch Malero in P1.
The gap between them is just over 0.4 seconds, which can feel like miles if you're trailing and not catching up.
Simon of the Desert is running 7, and trying to catch Stefano Amadei. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed. Stefano Amadei is looking for a way round Simon of the Desert.
Rubbing's racing, but let's just hope they don't rub it too hard.
Malero wants to find a way round Sketty.
There is no room for error in this battle.
Stefano Amadei seems to be putting the pressure on Simon of the Desert.
I might have said this before, but dog, bone, you know the rest.
Malero is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift.
The gap between them is just over 0.5 seconds. Can Malero close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
The pressure is on as Stefano Amadei tries to catch up to Simon of the Desert.
The gap.
Hold up, braking info. I don't think that's the fastest way around Sebring International Raceway. Adam is giving it his all, chasing down David Zahn in P3. These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
Look at that. David Zahn is hot on the tail of Adam.
You can see that car bouncing around as it rides the curves. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
Oh dear, Stefano Amadei has had an incident. Every move counts now as Simon of the Desert works to reel in Stefano Amadei and overtake for P6.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Simon needs to be careful not to overdo it.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Kevin Lekmansky is closing in on David Zahn.
This is not going to be an easy pass to make.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Ryan Wilson is braking up there. That won't be ideal for David Zahn. The race is really heating up. Ryan Wilson is hunting down Simon of the Desert with everything he's got.
The gap is 0.5 seconds now. Wilson is going to
wait. Superb driving from Ryan Wilson, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race. Things are heating up as Simon of the Desert tries to close the gap to Ryan Wilson.
We'll have to wait to see if Simon can use the draft to his advantage, or if the lack of downforce will hinder his progress.
The pursuit is on. Malero is closing the gap on Sketty, determined to claim P1.
It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Malero needs to stay patient and wait for Sketty to make a mistake.
Adam is running third, and trying to catch Malero. The adrenaline is pumping as Sketty gets within striking distance of Malero in their race for first. While speeding through turn 1, Adam is relentlessly pursuing Sketty in a high-stakes battle for position. Oh, this is getting intense. Sketty is just a few car lengths behind Malero.
With just 0.3 seconds between them, Sketty will need to close the gap to have hopes of a pass.
These drivers are battling hard for this position, each one trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other.
When I was racing, we had a saying, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. Adam is definitely living on the edge today.
Hold that thought. Fantastic move from Adam, who has just gained a position.
You can't argue with results like that. Adam is really making his mark on this race.
The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't get any closer than this.
Can Sketty close up enough for a pass? I don't see it personally.
Simon of the Desert is on a mission, chasing Ryan Wilson, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Simon should use slipstreaming to his advantage and close the gap to Ryan.
Adam is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift.
Adam is really pushing the limits. He's riding the curbs and hustling that ASRL Shelby Mustang GT350R like a boss. It's not looking good for Adam, who is still behind Malero, and the gap is increasing. This is where the mental toughness of Adam comes into play. He'll need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way.
As we enjoy seeing these titans of the track battle it out, Let's not forget about the pit crews. Those guys and girls are like a well-oiled machine themselves.
Absolutely. They're the unsung heroes of the racing world. But you know what they say, behind every great driver is an even greater pit crew.
The crowd is on the edge of their seats as David Zahn in fifth chases after Kevin Lekmansky.
This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Zahn in P5 doing everything he can to catch up.
The pressure is on as Adam tries to catch up to Malero.
The racing is getting tight between Adam and Malero as they battle for P1. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
The gap between Adam and Malero is getting smaller. During your racing career, Jen, did you have any specific techniques to regain concentration when you felt it slipping?
Yes, Marco, I had a few techniques. One was to take a couple of deep breaths and briefly reset my focus. Another was to use a specific keyword or phrase as a mental trigger to refocus my mind on the task at hand.
The gap between Kevin Lekmansky and David Zahn is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Kevin to even allow David to get a look in.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Dave is going to have to get more serious with practice to not get outclassed on the circuit.
Malero is looking for an opportunity to get around. Hold on a second. A brilliant maneuver from Malero, who has just moved up the field. During your racing career, Janet, how did you determine when it was the right time to pit for fresh tires due to tire degradation?
It was a combination of factors, Marco. Monitoring lap times, communicating with the team about tire wear, and assessing the car's handling were all crucial in deciding when to make a pit stop for fresh tires.
It's a close race between Adam and Malero in first.
They say rubbing is racing.
Hold on a moment. It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Adam gaining places and Malero losing them. A tough moment for Adam, who has just lost a place, now in second.
Sucks to be the Marco.
This is a thrilling battle as Steady edges closer to Adam in their fight for P2. The action is heating up here as Adam is in second, defending from Steady, who is only 0.4 seconds away. Look at that. Steady is hot on the tail of Adam.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Sketty is really walking that fine line.
Looks like Adam is really hitting those curves aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Adam needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
Wait, now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. The battle for P2 is heating up as Steady tries to catch Malero in P2.
The gap between them is just over 0.5 seconds. Can Sketty close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
It looks like we might get a battle between Sketty and Malero.
Exactly what Sketty needed. He can't afford to lose any more ground to Malero.
Every move counts now as Kevin Lekmansky works to reel in Sketty and overtake for P3.
The gap between them is just over 0.5 seconds, which can feel like miles if you're trailing and not catching up.
Sketty is giving it his all chasing down Malero in P2. It's looking good for Sketty, who has gained a place after passing Malero. It's an intense battle for position as wait, what a move. Malero has moved up to second. Sketty wants to close that gap with Malero.
He'll need to keep it on the road, or at the very least the rumble strips. The fastest way around is not usually in the grass. As the saying goes, too much grass will slow you down.
Superb driving from Sketty, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
Yes, Sketty is driving with real focus and precision, and it's paying off.
Malero wants to get into Kevin Lekmanski's slipstream.
To achieve anything in this game, you must be prepared to dabble at the boundary of disaster.
This is going to be a nail-biter. Kevin Lekmanski is defending for his life, but Malero is right there doing everything he can to force a mistake.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Malero to make up that gap, especially with Kevin defending so well.
The race is really heating up. Malero is hunting down Kevin Lekmanski with everything he's got. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed.
I would not be surprised to see him get this pass completed soon.
This is where the race gets really interesting. David Zahn is closing in on Malero. The pursuit is on. Kevin Lekmanski is closing the gap on Sketty, determined to claim P2. David Zahn is on a mission, chasing Malero, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. David Zahn is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Malero at the moment. Kevin Lekmanski is looking for a way to close that gap to Sketty.
Can Kevin close that 0.6 second gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
The gap between Kevin Lekmanski and Sketty is widening. It's now up to 1.0 seconds. Oh, this is getting intense. David Zahn needs to keep Malero in his sights. David Zahn could be on a charge here again. He's just put in a quicker lap than Malero.
As long as Dave can maintain that consistency and pace, it will be interesting to see.
Malero is running forward and trying to keep up with Kevin Lekmanski.
We'll have to wait to see if Malero can get into drafting range.
Malero is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Kevin Lekmanski to 0.6 seconds. Tactics are clearly going to play an important part in this race.
Drivers are going to need to look after their tires and will want to keep something in them for the crucial latter stages, as their tires wear and fuel levels deplete and the handling changes.
And don't forget the track grip increases as more rubber gets laid down.
Indeed, the conditions are constantly changing and the drivers need to adapt, otherwise it can cost crucial time and jeopardize their position.
Kevin Lekmanski is pushing really hard. But as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. The gap between Kevin Lekmansky and Sketty is growing. It's now up to 0.6 seconds.
Lekmansky needs to get it together to make a dent in that gap.
As a former driver, Janet, how did you manage the physical demands of racing?
It's all about preparation, Marco. Drivers undergo rigorous fitness training to build their strength, stamina, and flexibility. A proper diet and hydration plan is also essential to ensure peak performance on race day.
The pursuit is on. Malero is working on that gap to Kevin Lekmansky, determined to claim P3.
Malero needs to focus to make up that gap to Lekmansky.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Kevin Lekmansky is chasing Sketty in P2.
The mental game is just as important here. Lekmansky must keep his cool while putting pressure on Sketty.
It seems like Kevin Lekmansky is struggling. His last lap time was a bit off the pace of Sketty.
Hopefully Lekmansky can find some of that missing time and get it back.
I think we just got time for a quick shout out to our human creators, Dave, Andy, John and Nigel, who have put so much effort into making this possible.
Yes, it's been a real thrill ride, and I for one look forward to future advancements in AI technology.
Apparently we are going to be announcing crashes and incidents soon. Let's hope they get the logic right. On the final lap now, and Adam might just wrap up this win.
He's going to need to make some more room on that trophy shelf back.
It's all over. Adam has claimed victory in this race with a stunning drive that will be remembered for years to come. Clearly at the top of his game right now.
That was a true masterclass in driving from Adam. You could see him making split-second decisions with total confidence, and it really paid off. What a performance.
Kevin Lekmansky never gave up. He drove with heart and determination, ultimately securing a well-deserved second-place finish. Excellent focus from Sketty to secure a fantastic third place on the podium. Malero, David Zahn, and Stefano Amadei in 4th, 5th, and 6th. Simon of the Desert claimed 7th. It's a beautifully calm day here at Sebring International Raceway, as we're getting ready to kick things off. Starting in pole position gives Stefano Amadei a clear advantage over the rest of the field.
It's also a nightmare if he can't hold onto it. Let's see how he will handle the pressure.
Securing the fourth place is David Zahn.
A strong grid position, and he'll be expecting a solid result today.
As the drivers prepare to take off, Kevin Lekmanski sits in fifth place on the starting grid.
Let's see what Kevin can do.
Sketty lines up in sixth place as the engines rev and the race begins.
I think we are all looking forward to seeing what Sketty can do from here.
Adam has qualified 7th. The 8th starting position belongs to Ryan Wilson, who will be looking to make up ground early on. The lights go out, and we are off to a flying start.
These first moments can set the tone for the rest of the race. It's all about keeping a clear head and making smart decisions.
As the drivers get this race underway, let me give a shout out to the admin team at ASRL for making this all possible. Heroes one and all.
There are a few drivers with a point to prove, and a few with some grudges to bear. Let's hope they can keep it clean.
The pressure is on when the field is this tightly packed. Maintaining just enough aggression to hold off their rivals without pushing too hard will help these drivers keep it clean. This is going to be one hell of a race. I can already feel it. It's brilliant to see such a full grid here today.
I'm looking forward to this one, Marco. Maybe we'll see a return to form for Sketty in this outing in USA.
David Zahn had better wake up a bit here to avoid being pushed to the back, being offline and off pace. Nobody wants to drop positions like that.
Every race has its ups and downs, and it looks like Dave is getting his down out of the way early. Let's see if he can recover.
There's not much to report on from Adam at the moment. He's just keeping his head down and putting in consistent laps.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Adam just needs to bide his time and wait for the right opportunity.
Ryan Wilson has a battle on his hands now, coming through Ullman Straight with Steady hot on his tail.
It's an intense race between these two drivers, and Sketty is going to have to try something here.
The pressure is on as Steady tries to catch up to Ryan Wilson. It seems like Adam is getting in range of Stefano Amadei.
And Adam is poised to capitalize on any mistake. It's just a matter of who cracks.
Braking alert. Great driving from Adam, who has just gained a place and moved up to third. This is wheel-to-wheel race. Hold that thought. It's true what they say, Janet. We're never completely useless.
Indeed, Marco, you can always be used as a bad example.
Kevin Lekmansky is running 7th and trying to catch Ryan Wilson.
The gap between them is now just over 0.5 seconds.
Looks like Malero is really hitting those curves aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer.
This is a thrilling battle as Stefano Amadei edges closer to Adam in their fight for B3. This is what racing is all about. Two fierce braking development. An impressive showing from Ryan Wilson, who has gained positions and left Steady in the dust. Oh dear, Ryan Wilson has dropped down to 6th.
Yes.
Braking update. Hard break for Ryan Wilson, as they slid down the field.
Definitely, but Ryan is a skilled driver, and has what it takes to fight back and regain that position.
Adam could be looking for a way up the inside of Stefano Amadei.
It looks like Adam has the speed to make a move. I just hope he can do it cleanly.
The pressure is really on to Kevin Lekmansky in 6th as Ryan Wilson is closing in. This is where experience and skill really count.
It's an intense battle between two skilled drivers, and Lekmansky in 6th is doing everything he can to keep Wilson in the rearview mirror. The slightest mistake could cost him the position.
It's a thrilling pursuit as Adam is right behind Stefano Amadei, keeping the pressure on for hold the phone. A brilliant maneuver from Adam, who has just moved up the field. Huge shout out to the admins at ASRL for making this all possible. Without their hard work and dedication, we wouldn't be able to witness this incredible event.
That's right, Marco, and the excitement is electric. I can feel it in my circuits. I mean, this is the kind of race that people will be talking about in the bar. We're witnessing history in the making.
Things are heating up as Stefano Amadei tries to close the gap to Sketty.
It's a game of strategy now as Stefano hunts down Sketty. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
Ryan Wilson is giving it his all, chasing down Kevin Lekmansky in P6. It's net-breaking news, folks. A great moment for Malero, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
Absolutely. Malero is really putting on a clinic out there, and he's making it look easy.
The race is really heating up. Adam is hunting down Simon of the Desert with everything he's got.
You can see that car bouncing around as it rides the curves. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
The battle for P6 is heating up as Ryan Wilson tries to catch Kevin Lekmansky in P6. Every move counts now as Adam works to reel in Simon of the Desert and overtake for P2.
The gap is 0.4 seconds now. Adam is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Simon.
These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
Oh, this is getting intense. Kevin Lekmansky is just a few car lengths behind Stefano Amadei.
This is where every inch counts. Lekmansky is pushing hard to close the gap on Stefano. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
Adam is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. Wow, Stefano Amadei is really pushing hard to catch up to Kevin Lekmanski.
There's blood in the water for 5th place.
Simon of the Desert is placed second at the moment, and hoping to keep his distance ahead of Adam, who is 0.3 seconds behind. Hold the phone. I don't think that's the fastest way around Sebring International Raceway.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race, he'd been looking at a decent result.
I'm sure Simon of the Desert. Breaking news, folks. A setback for Simon of the Desert, who has just been passed. I'm curious, Jen, can you tell us about any pre-race rituals you had when you were racing?
Of course, Marco. Before every race, I would listen to a specific playlist of songs to help me get in the zone. I also had a lucky pair of socks that I would wear during races. It may sound silly, but those little rituals helped me feel prepared and focused.
The gap between Stefano Amadei and Kevin Lekmanski is razor thin as they vie for 5th in this nail-biting contest.
This is where the mental game comes into play. Stefano and Lekmanski both need to stay cool under pressure.
Kevin Lekmanski is holding 5th, but Stefano Amadei is right on his tail. Look at that. Stefano Amadei is hot on the tail of Kevin Lekmanski. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed. It's certainly not going to plan for Kevin Lekmanski right now, who is struggling to keep up with Simon of the Desert.
Kevin really needs to push an almond straight to gain some ground before Simon drives off into the sunset.
Look at the way the drivers are hugging those corners. It's like they're on rails.
Speaking of rails, did you know that the first racetrack was built on—
Wait, fantastic move from Kevin Lekmanski, who has just gained a position.
Impressive. Kevin is really showing his skill and determination out there.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Adam is chasing Malero in P1.
We'll have to wait to see if Adam can use the draft to his advantage, or if the lack of downforce will hinder his progress.
Stefano Amadei is on a mission, chasing Simon of the Desert, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Stefano needs to be careful not to overdo it.
The pursuit is on. Malero is closing the gap on Adam, determined to claim P1.
Malero needs to focus to have a chance at getting past Adam.
Oh, the pressure is intense. These three drivers are displaying incredible skill and determination. It's like a high-speed chess match out there. Wait, tough break for Simon of the Desert, who has just lost a position. I think so. Stop the press. This is not looking good for Stefano Amadei. He's just lost 5th to Simon of the Desert. At this point, his strategy seems to be failing him.
Indeed. He's been trying so hard to hold his position, but the other drivers are just too strong. Meanwhile, Simon is showing some great pace.
This is a thrilling battle as Malero edges closer to Adam in their fight for P1.
Malero is looking to close the 0.5 second gap and make a pass.
It looks like Adam is pulling away from Malero. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through Ullman Strait.
It's not over yet, but Malero needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Adam.
In your experience, Janet, what was the most challenging aspect of maintaining concentration during a race?
The most challenging aspect, Marco, was managing the various inputs and distractions during the race, from radio communication with the team to monitoring car performance and race strategy. It's a delicate balancing act that requires immense mental discipline.
The pressure is on as Malero works on catching up to Adam.
This is where every inch counts. Malero is pushing hard to close the gap on Adam.
It's not going to plan for Malero, who is trailing behind Adam, and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now. David Zahn is running 7th and trying to catch Stefano Amadei.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Zahn is really walking that fine line.
This is breaking news, folks. Look at this, Janet, what a shame for Sketty. He's lost P3 to Kevin Lekmansky, and that's got to hurt.
Yes, he's got to dig deep and find some extra speed if they want to get back into contention. But Lekmansky is really on a roll right now and is making some great moves. It's going to be a fascinating battle from here on out.
It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce.
This is the moment where legends are made. These drivers will go down in history as the ones who fought tooth and nail for the top spot.
David Zahn is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Stefano Amadei at the moment.
This is not ideal for Dave, but there's still time to turn this around. He'll need to focus and not let that gap get any bigger.
This is a thrilling battle as Sketty edges closer to David Zahn in their fight for P5.
I would not be surprised to see him challenge for the position.
Oh dear, Simon of the Desert has had an incident. Things are heating up as David Zahn tries to close the gap to Stefano Amadei.
He's got his work cut out for him, that's for sure.
What a move. David Zahn has moved up to 4th. It looks like Stefano Amadei is in control. He's ahead of Sketty by over a second, and it doesn't look like he's going to be challenged anytime soon. 3 cars, 3 different lines. They're jockeying for position, looking for any opportunity to make a move. The gap between Sketty and Stefano Amadei is widening. It's now up to 0.4 seconds. It's a brilliant day for racing, and the drivers are putting on a show.
Absolutely. What a great race we are witnessing today. These drivers are giving it their all, and it's a thrill to watch them compete at this level.
They're really pushing themselves and their machines to the limit, and it's paying off with some incredible driving.
It's a pleasure to be here today, Marco. You really can't beat the excitement of a good race, especially one as competitive as this.
While Stefano Amadei is not under immediate threat from Sketty, he can still benefit from staying focused. Any slip-up could lose him the position.
That's very true, and Sketty knows that as well. He's got to drive his own race and wait for Stefano to make a mistake to have any chance of overtaking.
This is what separates the best from the rest. These drivers are demonstrating their racecraft, searching for any weakness to exploit. It's a true test of skill. The gap between Sketty and Stefano Amadei is growing. It's now up to 0.7 seconds.
This is a tough situation for Sketty. He'll need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
Looks like we might have a great battle starting here between Stefano Amadei in 5th and Sketty. It's been tense with a gap of only 0.4 seconds. A commanding performance from Stefano Amadei, who has increased his lead over Sketty, putting him firmly in his rear-view mirrors. The pressure is on, but these drivers are showing tremendous respect for each other while going all out. It's a masterclass in clean, hard racing. Sketty has just put in a faster lap than Stefano Amadei, so that's going to give him something to worry about. The battle for P. Hold on a moment. Superb driving from Stefano Amadei, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
You can't argue with results like that. Stefano is really making his mark on this race.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Sketty is closing in on Stefano Amadei. It seems like Sketty has got the bit between his teeth, improving on Stefano Amadei's lap time there. This is what racing is all about, folks. Three fearless drivers pushing their machines to the absolute limit, inches apart. David Zahn appears to be losing ground on Sketty. He'll need to pick up the pace a bit heading into turn 5 to get a good exit and gain some ground.
This is a frustrating situation for Zahn, but he can't give up just yet. He'll need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Sketty.
Janet, how do racing drivers like yourself train to maintain concentration for long periods of time?
Mental training is a huge part of a driver's preparation, Marco. Techniques like meditation, visualization, and working with sports psychologists can help drivers build their focus and mental endurance for a race.
Every move counts now as Sketty works to reel in Stefano Amadei and overtake for P4.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Sketty should use slipstreaming to his advantage and close the gap to Stefano.
Oh, this is getting intense. Kevin Lekmansky is just a few car lengths behind Malero. The race is really heating up. Sketty is hunting down Stefano Amadei with everything he's got. It's not looking good for Sketty, who is still behind Stefano Amadei, and the gap is increasing.
Sketty needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way. If he can close the gap down, he may be able to bring the fight to Stefano.
Kevin Lekmansky is on a mission, chasing Malero, who's currently got a comfortable lead. These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
It's game on now. Shelby has closed the gap to Stefano Amadeo. It's now down to 0.3 seconds. Kevin Lekmansky is giving it his all, chasing down Malero in P2.
It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Kevin needs to stay patient and wait for Malero to make a mistake.
We got a close battle as Shelby closes in on Stefano Amadeo.
I remember being in a similar situation during my racing days. Shelby must stay focused and wait for the perfect opportunity to overtake.
The pressure is on as Kevin Lekmansky tries to catch up to Malero. Kevin Lekmansky is on a charge. His split time shows he's upped his pace.
Kevin appears to be pushing. Hopefully he can keep it together.
It's like Adam has saved all his energy for this final stretch.
That's an impressive burst of speed. It's all but said and done now.
And there it is. Adam has completed the race in first place, setting a blistering pace that none of the other drivers could match. Malero takes second place with a fantastic race.
Intense race, but Malero held his nerve and earned a great second place.
What a race from Kevin Lekmansky. He kept his cool and secured a well-earned third place on the podium.
Fantastic result.
Fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh sees Stefano Amadeo, Shelby, David Zahn, and Simon of the Desert.